Howdy, y'all. It's Kentucky Ranger, and well, now you know my mom, Marie. My sister, she's over here, Sheree.
Hello.
And Junebug, she's being Junebug. Lord have mercy. So anyhow, we left off. You had left the Campbells, but we need to go back because a lot of people brought up a good point about what went on back in those days. And abandoned Columbia, Missouri. His name's Dewey. He was asking a question. It's a good question of what kind of cars were around back in that particular
Or the
time.
kinds of cars that I had through
kind of
the
cars,
years.
yeah.
And it brought back the memory of, I really don't know how old I was, maybe 9 or 10. I remember this woman, Faye. She had a Model T. I think it was a Model T. It was either a Model T or a Model A.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You said you had the crank started.
Yeah, it was in the front, and you got out of the car and you turn it, and
back in. You know, when I looked it up, I couldn't find it. They had a term for it back in the day, like Model T elbow or something, because you could break your arm or your wrist.
a lot of people was hurt over there.
Yeah, you fracture your wrist.
Oh yeah,
break your arm, dislocate your shoulder.
It would backfire, and then that handle would
throw you back. See, now later models of that car, I remember they made it. It had like a little one-way clutch, so if it would snap back, it wouldn't hurt you. But before they did that, when they would do that, buddy, and another thing.
Yeah, but you couldn't put the clutch on if he's outside cranking the
No. What I'm talking about is it would turn one way.
Yeah.
But if it tried to turn the other way, it wouldn't snap back. I don't know. But think about it. And another thing I got to reading is that doing it left. I think it was doing it left-handed is even worse because of, I guess, your body position. Anyway, you had the crank started.
Yeah.
There's going to be a picture up here in the corner, like I usually do. It's going to show.
That is so neat how you do that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm the wizard.
But anyway, once it got started, it just would putt down the road.
Yeah,
it would not go 80 or 90 miles an hour.
Lord, no.
It would just putt.
Well, I'll tell you, back in the original days of auto racing, like Indianapolis 500, top speed of that car was like maybe 50 mile an hour, 60. But back then, 60 mile an hour in a car like that, you're taking your life in your own hands.
Oh yeah.
And plus, you're out in the open.
So
if you rolled over, they didn't have roll bars or anything.
Another thing too, I might add, is back in those days, they only come in one color. That was black.
Yeah, that was it. Well, that was one of the funny things they used to say about Fords. My mind completely just went. Henry Ford. His saying was, "You can have it in any color as long as it's black."
Yeah.
But then, I think it was the late 40s. You could get them in like a really, really dark green.
I don't remember.
I've seen them.
Or a really, really dark blue. They had. But see, one of the reasons, another thing, is something young kids will never understand, is back in those days, one of the reasons that colors were so muted and so few was because the pigments to make the vibrant colors were so expensive. To paint a car like a cherry red or something like that back in them days, it would have cost you a fortune.
Oh yeah.
Plus the technology, I don't even know if you could have done it.
Probably couldn't have.
See, nowadays you can get any color under the rainbow. But so is the Model T. What some of the other kind of cars over the years?
Well, you know, it also goes back when I was about 14. When I first moved to Akron, my brother Charles, I'll never forget, he won $500 in playing what are those numbers that you pick?
Keno.
Keno.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he won $500.
Wow,
I'll never
that was
forget.
a lot of money back then.
Yeah. So he bought this old Ford. It was, I think it was, they called it the Studebaker
No, it's a different company.
different company. Well, anyway,
What year was it?
I think he got it used.
Yeah, but I mean, what year? I mean, what?
1959.
That'd have been 50. You say
59.
So I'm trying to think. So you know it was a Ford.
1959. Huh?
You know it was a Ford?
No, I just,
Oh, could have been a Studebaker.
it
you
could,
were-
it
It
could
was
have
just an
been.
old car.
you
Yeah.
were grown when he got that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway,
Was it the old boxy looking kind of car, or was it back when they kind of
No.
started looking more modern?
no, it had like a back window, and it was
Right.
had a back seat because my sister and my one brother Jimmy, Robert,
Uh-huh.
and myself was in the back seat, and my brother Charles and somebody was in the front. Can't remember who, but he took us all the way to Virginia
Uh-huh.
to visit with. At that time, my grandmother had passed away, but we got to see my grandfather and my aunts and uncles, and I mean that was. It must have took us a long time because I think we laid down the back seat and was trying to
Well,
sleep.
You know, cars back then were so big you could lay
You
down.
could,
It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
it was like a big old couch.
yeah. But that's one thing I remember. But I never really got into cars until I married your dad, and the first one that we bought was what was it? It was green.
Was it
I
a
like-
Buick?
I think so. I think
Well, I
yes.
wasn't around back then. but
Yes,
I
it was a
remember
Buick.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that the same car that I'm standing in?
No.
front of?
Uh-uh. No, you wasn't even born at that time.
Is it the one that I put thumbnail where you and him is standing? No, that's
No.
the truck.
No. This
I don't
this
remember.
was before your time too.
Oh, so you probably don't have any pictures. You
No.
guys- Oh, well, shoot.
No. This but he got took because
Yeah,
he was
no,
out there polishing away on it, and he pushed hard on one of the fenders, and his hand
Hand
went
went
right through it.
Lord have mercy.
And I forget something else happened, and he
Yeah, I remember him telling a story about that they put. That was one of the tricks they used to do back then. Is when the bearings would go on an engine, they would put like sawdust in the oil,
Yeah.
and it would gum it up and make it run smooth for a little while.
but he
Then would
sold it to
completely come
his
loose.
cousin,
Yeah.
and his cousin wrecked it.
Oh, Lord. See, the thing about cars back then is you buy one brand new, you were lucky if it lasted a year before you had to rebuild the engine.
I take it back. It was an Oldsmobile.
Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just come to me.
You remember what year it
Oldsmobile.
was?
Well, let's see. We had just got married. That was
I mean, the year of the car. Was it a new car? or
no.
Was it like?
He had sent money home to his mother.
Oh, he was still overseas.
Yeah, and so she saved up the money, and when he come home, so this was okay. It was in 1959
59.
because we got married in 58.
So how old was the car?
It had to been a 55 or 6 or
Okay.
something like
So I'm gonna
that.
put a picture of what was it now? Oldsmobile. Lord, what did you just say? I tell you what, we're all.
Oldsmobile.
So
Yeah.
it's got a 55 Oldsmobile. They're pretty cars.
Yeah, it was a two-tone green.
Two-tone. Yeah. Yeah, they was big into the two-tone thing
Yeah.
in the mid-50s.
Yeah, it was a pretty car.
Oh, yeah, they had
But
beautiful cars. Everybody loves 57 Chevys.
yeah.
I don't really like it. I love 56 Chevy. Because it didn't have the wild fins on the back, but it still had kind of a fin look to it, but it wasn't I don't know. 57 just kind of look gaudy. I don't know.
But
So,
later on, this was after Cherie was born. We had this two-tone Ford. It was a used one also, but it was a pretty good car. And he put our names on it. And that one picture shows Cherie was standing by it, and I was pregnant with you.
I have to dig that picture up. Is that in that?
I'm in the picture, but I don't think she is.
No, is the picture?
It's.
Is it in that bunch that?
I think it is.
Okay, I'll look for it, and it'll be up in the corner. So I'll put that up there.
Yeah. The
So,
one where I was pregnant with you was that picture that you put on with me sitting there and with Cherie.
Right. That's the second.
I was about 5 months pregnant with you
Well.
at that time. So all three of us was in that picture.
Okay. I was present. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You couldn't see you,
I hadn't
but you
come
was
out
there.
yet.
Yeah. You couldn't see you, but you was there. But
Well, something else we was talking earlier, like back in the day, people take so many things for granted. We were talking about the older houses, that it was actually a luxury to have a bathroom inside a house.
oh yes, absolutely. All the
Because in
houses
the
had
late
outhouses.
40s, yeah, and even the early 50s,
Yeah.
bathrooms and houses, that really didn't start till after the war, that the big building boom after
Yeah.
the war. But houses before, that's why old houses, they had to retrofit. They had to, and I think that's why they coined the term water closet, is because basically they took a closet, gutted it out, put a toilet in there,
Right.
and a sink.
Uh-huh.
And another thing that really wasn't around until probably about the mid-50s is showers. I mean, they had showers.
Yeah.
It was an extreme luxury item for rich people.
Oh yeah, the city people had them, but not
Yeah.
country
Bathtub,
people.
and I'm sure there's younger people shaking their head like, no shower, what are you talking about? Well,
No.
yeah. In fact, when you were younger, I would say that they had to draw water from a well, bring
Oh
it in,
yeah.
and sit it on the stove and heat the water up.
Well, the way they do it is in these old cook stoves.
Right.
You know, you build a
Right.
fire in the
Right.
cook stove, and on the side of the stove was a
water
big
heater.
well.
Yeah, it was the original water heater.
Yeah, it from the fire and the stove.
Yeah, you'd fill it
heat
up
the
with
water.
water, and it would sit at the side of the stove, and it would warm the water up.
Well, it'd get hot,
Yeah.
and you would go and bring in well water in the tub
Right.
and get that hot water out of the little
Right.
well there.
Mix it to make it warm.
Yeah, and
Then everybody shared the bath.
well, the way it worked is if you had kids, you'd
The oldest kid went
bath the
first.
kid,
Right.
and then the women would bath, and then the
Right.
man
Right.
would bath. So this was once a week.
Plus, the bathtubs in a lot of houses were like a galvanized.
It was a galvanized wash tub.
Ginormous. I'm gonna put a picture up on here.
Yeah. A galvanized
It's
wash
like
tub.
a big old bucket. It's a galvanized wash tub.
It was a tub.
And you
Yeah.
brought it into the house and
Right.
set it in the kitchen.
Right.
And then when y'all was done, you took it back out and set it on the porch or
Right.
wherever.
And to make it clear, we were not dirty.
No.
Once a week, we'd bath in the galvanized bathtub and wash our hair. The rest of the week,
Sponge
we
bath.
had a little, you might,
Wash basin.
as a matter of fact, you can still buy those. It looks like a
There's
picture,
going to be a picture up in the corner.
you know,
It's
with
wash
a basin,
Yeah,
and put water in there and wash.
Sponge. You did a sponge
Sponge-
bath. Yeah,
sponge
you did that
bath.
once a day.
Yeah, you
You
kept
hit the high
yourself
spots.
clean.
Yeah.
and had a way to brush your teeth every
Right.
morning. So we weren't dirty.
No, it's just that the concept of taking a bath every day, that didn't really start till the mid to late 50s.
Well, when you had running water and a bathtub.
Right. Well, it was the advent, like gas and electric water heaters, stuff like it. Houses didn't have that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
In fact, the house that I'm living in right now, it was retrofitted. It had a bathroom. You know, it was built in the late 50s.
Yeah.
But you can tell the hot water heater, that was sort of a thing that they had to retrofit later. Because the closet in the bathroom became the place where the water heater went, so we lost it. Of course, now we've got a tankless water heater, so we got the closet back in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But houses back then,
Oh, no, they did not have.
this showering and bathing every day, that sort of came along in the mid 50s. They started with the hygiene, where take a bath every day kind of thing and all that stuff. But
I had never seen it inside of a house that had running water and a bathtub until I moved in with the Campbells.
so until you moved in with them, you
I had never seen one.
running water in a house.
Right, never seen it.
So if
This
you
was
needed water, you
1950.
went outside, and I'll put a picture up here. There's several different designs, like cistern or regular water pump with the big handle, or you
Oh,
had,
yeah.
or you had
Well,
the crank, because the cistern. Well, see, we lived in that old house.
That was sister.
They had the cistern, and they had, of course, they were rich people. The Pruitts.
yeah, yeah.
You remember I fixed them up and painted them, but you cranked them. And there's going to be a picture up here. And they had little buckets, and it went down into the cistern, and it brought it up, brought
Right.
the water up.
But the way that we had to do it there when I was in Yukon is there was a well, and you had a rope, and you put it the
Right.
bucket down in there,
Right,
get
yeah,
it
that's
full,
old school.
and
You
then-
really went on.
then bring it
Yeah,
back
bring
up.
it
Yeah. We didn't have the luxury of a pump.
See, a lot of younger kids, they have no earthly idea.
They don't know how good they've got it nowadays. I mean, everything is just, it's there.
Oh, another thing is the entertainment. We were talking about TVs in the last video. Back then, television stations, you had your choice of three. That was it.
Three channels.
Fourth channel, PBS, didn't come along until what, the 60s?
So, yeah, I think so.
About the middle 60s. So before the PBS, you had three channels, and that was it.
ABC and CBS and NBC.
And they didn't come in
That was
real
it.
plain.
Okay, and another thing, the way the television worked early in the morning, they would have like the early farm report for the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they might have had like an early morning news kind of thing, but I think the early farm report was sort of the first, what you would call a morning news. They'd have like what the weather was going to be like, and of course they had the pigs and the, pig futures and cow futures. But after that, then a lot of the local stations had kids shows, early morning kids shows, where kids could watch before they went to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would have like the daytime soap operas. All this was done live too. This wasn't pre-recorded. This was
Right.
all done live in the studio in front of a camera.
Right.
So when they goofed, they had to keep going.
Yeah.
There was no
It's-
stopping. There was no cut. Okay, let's do this again.
Well, another thing too is only your people that had a lot of money
Right.
had a TV.
Oh,
I
in
mean,
the early days.
us
you know,
poor
kidding.
people did not have
No.
one. And that Don Smith that keeps posting things about Saltville,
Mm-hmm.
he mentioned on there the only way that you could get news is through the newspaper
Right.
and the radio.
Oh yeah.
That was it.
That's why you see in these older movies the kids on the street corner hollering out the headlines.
Right.
That was your news.
Yeah, that's the only
Your,
way you
your
could
real,
get
your
news.
honest, your actual morning news was the morning newspaper.
Oh yeah, Now, we did get the newspaper.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine. She's in her 70s. She said there was one person in their neighborhood that had a TV, and everybody around there would pile into the living room on like wrestling night and different shows.
Yeah, depending on what was going on. Well, see, and another thing, and kids are going to blow your minds, but we're telling the truth. In the early days of television, come 8 o'clock, they'd go off the air.
Oh, yeah.
And from 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. till about, what was it, like 6 or 7 a.m.
I
there
don't
was no
remember.
TV.
I really don't remember.
It would
something
end
that
with
said-
the American flag
Yeah,
and
it would
the
end with the national anthem.
and then a test pattern
They
the
go
rest
off
of them.
there. So all night, if you turn the TV onto that channel, there'd be a test pattern.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I was 14 years old before I ever seen a television.
Right.
And when it was at my mother's house, and I remember you had to have the room completely dark.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. You couldn't have any light.
I mean, she'd put sheets over the
Right.
window and everything.
It had gargantuan antennas outside. And even with those, you were lucky on a good day to get a decent, half-decent signal. Most of the time it was fuzzy and snowy.
Well, the only antenna we had was on the inside.
Oh, rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears.
You put the tin foil on.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you could do.
And the picture would roll.
Right,
Yeah.
the picture would roll or be fuzzy
Oh, yeah.
or snowy. Lord, now, I mean, 1080p blows my mind. 4K is just, actually, I can't handle watching 4K because it's just too real. But Lord, back in the day, high definition was basically if you could even hear
You
what
could
was
keep the
going.
fuzz
Yeah,
out.
if you could keep the fuzz out, keep the picture from rolling.
Yeah. You had to get pretty close
And
to
another
watch.
thing, the way TVs worked back then is they had tubes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put a picture of what a tube looks like.
Right.
Actually, old televisions, the picture that you're looking at is actually a great big giant tube.
Right.
But anyway, the TVs, they had tubes inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
It would get so hot.
Oh, yeah.
During the summer, you didn't want to watch TV because it'd burn you up. They got so hot.
Well,
Well-
they didn't come out with the kind of screens that we've got now until
Oh no, these are
10 years ago we was watching
yeah.
a tube
Tube
television.
television.
Yeah.
And I'll have pictures. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be busy editing this because I'm going to have all kinds of pictures.
Yeah.
But anyhow, you remember at the Rexall drugstores or the Walgreens drugstores or what, back in the corner, they had the big old tube testing machine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you go in, and they had a little paper thing that you could take home, had little stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you put the stickers on the tubes so you could remember where to put the tubes back if your TV
Yeah.
was acting up.
Uh-huh.
Because they acted up a lot.
Yeah.
So you put the little stickers on the tubes, you pulled the tubes out, you took them to your local Walgreens
Right.
or your Rexall drugstore.
Color code them.
Yeah. And so you plug them into this machine and it would either test good or bad.
Right.
And if it was bad, they had a big old bin down at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
where you could pick out a tube, whichever tube you needed to replace
Yeah.
the tube that was bad. Then you take them home, put the tubes all back in the TV,
Yeah.
cross your fingers that when you turned it on, first of all, it didn't blow the house up. And second
Really?
of all, it worked.
Remember what they looked like when you turned the TV on? You didn't get an instant.
No, you had a little dot.
A little dot right in the center
Yeah,
of
I
the TV.
forgot about
Well,
that.
it was the tubes were warming up. It took a good minute or two for the tubes to warm up. But yeah, it would start out as a little dot,
Mm-hmm.
and as the tubes warmed up and the TV got to going, it would spread out, and then all of a sudden you get this
Yeah.
hazy, funky image, and then there the dude would be in black and white.
Right.
But another thing, a lot of people back then actually would kill them because they didn't realize the extremely high voltages that are in
Oh,
a
yes.
television.
Uh-huh.
See, these newer TVs, especially with the LED backlit TV,
Mm-hmm.
there's not any high. See, now, ones that are lit with fluorescent lights, you're still dealing with high voltage.
Right.
But these new TVs with LED lights, they've eliminated the high voltage, so there's no real danger like there used to be. Oh my God, them old TVs kill you.
Yeah, really.
Do you remember what the old remotes looked like, TV remotes?
Oh my God. Well, the first remote I remember, it had 3 buttons.
No, this one goes back before this.
Well, now it was our Zenith, I think. It looked like a ray gun. It was a flashlight. You pointed it and it lit, and there was a sensor on the TV. And basically, it would, I think, turn the channel. It didn't do a whole lot.
No,
of
this
anything.
goes even back before that.
Oh, I don't.
Well,
You know what the remote was?
Oh, us getting up, changing the channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad would sit there. Okay, you know, a certain time. Donald, Sheree, get up, change that channel. Marie. He'd sit there, and we was the channel changers. We was
Right.
the volume up and the volume down. We was the ones that adjusted the antenna. And
Right.
This is for another show, but don't forget, when you get farther into this, to tell the story about the first satellite dish that we got.
Oh my gosh.
I can
see.
still remember seeing that.
Our parents, I'm sorry. I'm going to bust you on this one.
That's
Mr.
all right.
and Mrs. El Cheapo. I got a picture in the corner what satellite dishes used to look like. Because your kids out there thinking, hey, little teeny tiny little direct TV. Oh, she's going to bump the thing. What's the matter, honey?
She's looking for a place to lay down.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
Oh, Dolly.
It's okay.
Honey. That's our dog. She's a little old. Yeah. Anyhow.
Where did we get that
Not these little
satellite
bit.
dish?
Where did you get it?
Where?
I can't
Where
remember.
did that come from?
Some furniture store. I can't remember. That's another thing. Back in the day, every Tom, Dick, and Harry they opened up a satellite dish thing. But
I can't
it's not like
remember
these
where we
little
got
direct
that.
TV dishes that you kids are seeing. We're talking big, ginormous,
Looked like a flying
like
saucer.
20-foot wide.
got a
Well, they look
picture.
like NASA was in the backyard kind of thing.
I got a picture of it with me standing in front of it.
Yeah,
Oh, we
you
gotta dig
do.
that up.
Yeah, I don't know where that's
I'll
at.
dig that up.
But
Y'all
we-
dig that up after this.
Our El
We can
Cheapo
find
dad.
it. Anyhow, Mr. and Mrs. El Cheapo, it was only going to be like a $50 extra to get the one with the motor, to where you set it up and it would memorize the position of the satellite dish. Because the way it worked is you had several satellites that, well, they're still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, you had
It
come
was
on, y'all help me. What it was?
like C
G5s, like.
C13 C something 13.
Yeah, it was
and
like something star this and something sat nav
Yeah.
too. But anyway,
it was different than it is now.
They positioned them in a perfect arc. Well, they still do.
Mm-hmm.
So you set the azimuth of the dish so that basically it stayed static, other than it would sweep back and forth, and it would pick up satellite signals. And it was. God, I can't believe I can't remember the name of the satellites. But anyway,
I can't either. It's like
we had a mechanical crank on it. So we'd crank it, and somebody in the house, we got these cheap walkie-talkies from Radio Shack.
I had my head
And-
out the window. Donald.
Yeah, so we was crank. Yeah, it was before. Yeah, we got the walkie-talkies later.
Yeah, I had my
Because
head
you
out
had
the
to stick your
window.
head out the window. Grandma, Marg, she
Yeah.
was sitting there
Telling
relaying to you whether it was a good picture or not. You was relaying it to me in the backyard, cranking it. A little bit more. How's that look?
No, stop. Go back.
No, go back. It's too far. Crank it back. And when we get the picture, we had a little we had a marker, a magic marker, and we'd mark it on the shaft of the crank. And then we'd put like G2, S, whatever the satellite was.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to crank it until we found another satellite. We kept doing that, and so we had markings all down the shaft of the crank. Well, problem is over the months of the weather and everything, these markings would start to wear out a little bit. Plus, I guess the satellites and everything, it's not a perfect world, so they kind of shift position a little bit. So about every couple of months, we'd have to go out there and recalibrate it.
And the thing...
Plus, each satellite, there was like, I can't remember how many,
several stations,
6 or 7 satellites.
Yeah.
Well, each satellite had so many channels.
Yeah.
We got some good shows on it.
And another thing, it's going to be up in the corner. This is running a little long, but it's okay.
And
it's only about a half hour. But anyway, the TV guide for the satellites looked like a New York phone book.
Yeah,
it was thick.
It was so thick. But the thing about it was, depending on what show you wanted to watch, you had to go out there and crank the satellite or the dish to pick up a particular satellite for a particular channel. Or our dad, he would sit there and he would mark it with a pen the shows he wanted to watch. Because back then you didn't have DVRs and all that stuff. So you had to figure out what you was going to do. And you had to plan your evening because it was there, and once it was done, it was done. I mean, you had VCRs, but you could only record because the way that worked, you could only record what was coming through. But he'd sit there, well, let's see, 8 o'clock on satellite G5, we got such and such. You know, and of course it would be set to S1. So somebody'd have to go out there and crank it, and then we'd come back in, and then the tuner was a crazy thing. I mean, Lord have mercy, we all had to go to NASA training to figure out how to...
If it would snow, we'd have to
and
take a
snowing,
broom
you'd
or
have to go out and you'd have to brush it off.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
I remember
But
that.
But we went through that, and we went through that. Well, then all these companies, it was so cool because you remember we get like the CNN feed, and it was a live feed. And you remember that one night we were sitting there watching
that Oriental newsman behind the scenes?
No.
Oh.
No, this was an African American reporter.
Oh.
She was on there and she was reporting the news and talking about whatever it was. Can't remember. Well, they cut to a commercial. While they were cutting the commercial, they'd be brushing their hair, picking their nose, all kinds of goofy stuff.
That's what that Korean guy was doing.
Well, this night, she's sitting there. Well, they broke for commercial. Somebody come in there and told her somebody stole her car.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, she's freaking out. Well, then they're like, okay, live in 30 seconds or whatever. So now she's freaking out. What do you mean they stole my car? Carrying on. So just before they come back on the air, she had to sit back down, regroup. Hello, I'm such and such, CNN, and this is so she goes through the news report. As soon as they cut the commercial, where's my car? Have you called the police? What's happened to my car? I mean, just freaking out. But that was the wonderful days of satellite.
That was so fun. You don't get that no more where you get to see behind the scenes.
No. You see what happened? Everything's scrambled now.
Yeah.
You couldn't. You could buy a satellite dish, but you're not going to pick anything up because it's all scrambled now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that was ridiculously funny.
You may want to mute that because I think that it's fixing to come.
It's fixing to come. Well, it's okay because we're about over or done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
I didn't mean to cause you to jump ahead.
No, yeah, that's okay.
That was funny.
Yeah, the satellite dish was funny. But yeah, the old cars, Lord, they were about as reliable as nothing back in. And the thing about old cars, you work on them. You can't work on cars nowadays.
No, they fix it just here yesterday, wasn't it? To replace the headlight bulb.
Yeah, the headlight bulb in your car. She has a Chevy Malibu. It's a 2006. I think.
It's an 2008.
To replace the headlight bulb, what's raining again?
Yeah.
You have to take the whole front end of the car.
The whole front end, the bumper.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, cars at least back then they were made to work. You could work on them.
Yeah.
You can't work on cars nowadays. Anyhow, good.
Well, it's starting to pour the rain again.
Well, before we float away, folks, I don't know if that's picking up on the microphone. My Lord. It did that earlier.
Thanks for the beautiful comments again. Thank you.
Yeah, she appreciates it. We all appreciate it. That y'all comment and everything. And hopefully that Dewey, that answers some of your questions about the cars. I know we kind of got sidetracked with the satellite
back
dish.
in those days, not too many people had new cars unless you was rich.
Lord, no, yeah.
But I remember just the ones that we got.
You know, all the years growing up in the 60s, up into the, I guess, the early 70s, y'all never took cars to the garage much. Dad worked on them most of the time.
Oh, well, you could. You could work on them. If you were reasonably
That's
intelligent,
how
you could
Donald
work
learned
on
to
them.
work on the cars, was watching his dad.
Oh, I can work on older cars?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing I can't tinker with on an older
Right.
car. But these newer cars, forget it.
No,
even
you
the
can't do
mechanics,
it.
even
They're
the
all-
certified mechanics that work on cars will tell you they're constantly going to school.
I don't
have
like
to.
these new cars. It's got all that stuff on it.
Well, it's cool, but the problem is when the stuff breaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the car I've got right now, that Subaru. It's got that eyesight thing on there. Well, that's cool and everything, but what's going to happen if it loses its mind
That's
one
right.
day and slams the brakes on and I'm just driving? I hope
That's
it don't
right.
do that.
No.
I mean, it's an awesome safety feature, but
Well-
Lord, I don't know. Well, now they got them, these self-driving cars.
There's no
and
way
stuff.
I would
There's
trust that.
absolutely
No.
No way.
Not me.
Maybe 10 years down the road, but not right now. And they're trying to push it too fast. Too fast, too hard, too
Right.
soon. And there's going to be there's already those Tesla cars.
Yeah.
Been two horrific accidents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing, even when I was growing up in the 60s, most cars, even then, did not have seatbelts in them.
Oh,
No,
that was
they
an option.
didn't
Yeah.
come
Oh,
about.
and if they did come with seatbelts, they had hooks up to where you could store them.
And I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think there was even such a thing as a child seat.
No.
I don't
Yeah,
believe
there was. It was the mother holding the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd hold them in their lap.
Mm-hmm. There was no car seat.
And I'll tell you another thing. When cars were built, that would survive an accident. You won't.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dashboard was metal.
Yeah.
The windows, you put your head through them and they'd shatter and cut you all to pieces. Because safety glass didn't come out until, what, mid-50s, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Remember my,
Before auto glass back then, it was just glass. It'd kill you. I mean, you would die.
Oh,
the car
yeah.
would survive.
remember my 68 Chevy Malibu?
Oh, my Lord.
It had the lap belts, but I kept them stuck in the
Well, they had hooks.
under the seat. I never did use them.
Well, they had hooks on the headliner that you could stone.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that car was a jinx. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I had more fender benders with that
She
thing.
had, what, 3 accidents? I ran it through a cinder block wall.
every time I got in an
We
accident,
have a
Donald
picture
was
of that.
with
It
me.
was jinxed. That car was cursed. Something that you talk about, Christine.
Probably
that
probably got a
See if we
picture.
can dig a picture of that up. A beautiful
Yeah.
car.
Mhm.
It
Our
was
dad,
pretty.
he fixed it up for her when she turned 16. Oh, it was beautiful. I can't remember what he paid for that paint job. But
Yeah.
it was.
$800.
Yeah,
I can
all
still
I
remember. I don't know why I
Yeah.
remember that, but
Beautiful paint job, but yeah, 68 Chevelle Malibu, 307,
Mm-hmm.
2-speed automatic transmission. It'd get you to 0 to 90 in a hurry, but that all it would do. It'd top out about 90. You couldn't go any faster. And anyhow, we need to cut this off because we're running way over. I want to try to keep this a half hour, but
Yeah.
anyhow, always having fun. I
Yeah.
think everybody.
I enjoy talking about the old days because there was so much that was going on in the old
Oh, yeah,
days
well,
that the young people, they don't know. They've never heard it.
See, you grew up and you became an adult about the time when our country, the boom was going on. Everything was happening.
I've witnessed so many
things.
things,
All
you
the
know,
things that we enjoy now
Yeah.
were in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cars,
Well,
television.
It was hardly ever talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Well, it's like what Sheree just said. In the neighborhood, there were probably only one, maybe two houses that had a television.
right.
But the thing about it, people were nice back then, and you would all get together like.
Oh, what they were
depending on,
neighborly.
like the Fred Allen show come on.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that the Fred Allen show, and well, Marcy's house, you know, and they would make a little deal about it every day. You go in there and, you know, drink coffee.
Neighbors were so nice.
Oh, yeah.
And you trusted them.
Yeah.
And wrestling was a real big thing back in the 50s and 60s.
And boxing.
Yeah.
Your dad
Anything they
loved
could put on the
boxing.
television.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll talk about that maybe on our next thing. We'll talk about a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're all kind of going to lose our voices here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good one here.
I'm a big mouth.
That's all right. Hey, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can jar my memory because a lot of things I forgot until somebody mentions it, and then I remember.
yeah, it's like cars and stuff like that back here.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the next time about washing machines.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, and some of the other things that people had to do back in the day.
About wood stoves and
Right.
coal
Well, there's
stoves.
plenty to
About the
talk
dangers of ringer washers.
Yeah, we'll talk about
No, that comes later,
Yeah,
way
that's
later.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll talk about that. Well, we could sit here all night. I guarantee there's people out there. Oh, please don't stop this, please. Well, you're
Well, we
going to
have
have to tune in
to
next
because
Monday
yeah,
because that's what this is all about. And that hopefully y'all come back next Monday.
Yeah.
And because
see, it's 45 minutes now.
yeah, so we're gonna leave you on a cliffhanger talking about washing machines and some of the early.
Well, we'll talk about how we washed our clothes, not washing machines.
Well, yeah, we didn't even have a machine to wash them.
No.
That'll be next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, we're going to cut this off. And God bless and appreciate everybody watching and enjoying the show. Hope you enjoyed this one. I hope we don't float away. I don't know if y'all can hear all them thunder boomers out there. Lord have mercy. It's
It
raining.
is
It's hard
raining.
can't see out there.
Yeah.
Woo! So anyhow, God bless and see y'all next Monday.
Bye.